Hello everybody, how are you today? How are you on this Thursday, midday, lunchtime? Excuse me. Are you having lunch? Are you at work? What are you up to today? If you're on here live, jump on. Send me a comment. Say hello. Tell me you're here. Love to hear from you. So I'll just wait a few seconds and see if somebody will jump on. I've just got my daughter to sleep. So fingers crossed she stays asleep. She usually does sleep at this time. I don't know why. I guess good luck. But so far she slept through my Facebook lives. And I haven't had to duck off because she's screaming or excuse me, screaming the house down the other end of the house. But no, she's been very good. She is a very good baby, so I'm very lucky. Oh, excuse me. I just had a drink of water before I came on live, and I knew I'd be talking lots, and then I choked on it, and I'm still choking. Silly, very silly. Okay. So I can see there's a few people on, or there was, so I'll jump right in, and if you're watching the replay, hello and welcome. I hope you've had a good day, and I hope you've had a good week. The week just seems to fly by for me. These Thursdays seem to be coming quicker and quicker and quicker. Now I'm just going to adjust this light, whoops, and the camera, no, just the light. And if it flicks off, I'm really sorry. I'll probably scream. I'm trying to get a bit more light into the frame because last week it was all over the shop and I wasn't very happy with it. So I think it looks okay. Send me a shout out if it looks a bit dark or if the shadows are annoying you. Okay, so I wanted to start off today talking about the Share What You Love suite. So I know I talked about this last week, but I'm so in love. I've been playing with this and I've got some sneak peeks, but not quite yet. They will be soon. And this suite will be available to customers on the 1st of May, which isn't very far away. Scary, I know, but it's not very far away at all. And for demonstrators, it's available right now for pre-order. It is the most, I think it's nearly my favourite stamp set in this catalogue. And I just love it. It's very girly, it's very me. I love this cursive font and I love flowers. I'm a horticulturalist by trade, so flowers are my thing. And yeah, I love it. Love the paper and everything. So I just wanted to talk to you about this. And next month, my I call it chocolate cookies and cards because they're the three things that I love. It's my class that I do once a month on the last Sunday of the month, and I'll be using this set and this bundle in that class. So I'll have more details about that very soon. Talking about classes, this month I'm doing a Mother's Day class, and that's on the 29th, Sunday the 29th. And I've got a little sneak peek of the cards that we'll be making for that class. So we're making 3 cards. This will be one. This is the other. And finally this one. So it's a birthday and a Mother's Day class, and this one can be adapted to Mother's Day if you'd like. But usually, you know, unless you want to send to a grandmother, there's only 2 mothers. One on each side of the family, I guess, if you're married. And so I made 2 and a birthday, but they can be adapted if you want to make an extra one. So that's a little sneak peek of the class. Now RSVP is next Thursday, and that's the cutoff date. So if you want to join in that class, you need to RSVP with me as soon as possible, and payment needs to be made before that class to secure your spot. Another thing I wanted to talk about today was just quickly the retired list and the clearance rack. So Stampin' Up! Have updated the clearance rack in the online store, and it has some amazing bargains there. So I would really, if you're really interested in a bargain, it's up to 60% off some items, including papers and stamp sets and dies and accessories. So jump online. You can shop online with me, and it gets shipped straight to you, and I'll send you a little gift for shopping with me, and you can get those bargains while they're available. So you can put your order in straight away. Okay, so what the stamp set I'm using today is this Flirty Flowers, and the card that we are making is this card. And I love this card. I love the background. This is the technique I'm showing. But the card I'm making today is going to be slightly different. Slightly different. I just want to show you a variation on it. Now this Flirty Flowers, this stamp set is retiring. So if you really like this stamp set, you need to get it as soon as possible because it's while stocks last. So let's get in and make a card. So I've cut my card stock up. It's already made. So my base is just an A4 sheet of paper cut in half at 10.5 centimeters. And let me move this card out of the way. And let me get, sorry, I'm banging and crushing, a bone folder. So I like crisp edge. So you fold that in half. And this is on thick Whisper White cardstock. And that is our base. And then what I have done, and I've actually done this ahead of time. So we're using, I'll keep this stamp set in, we're using this image. So I've mounted it up on a block. And what I've done is I've used Versamark, which is a clear ink. So it's really good for embossing or doing a watermark on something, so tone on tone. And what it is it's really sticky and it takes a little while to dry. So that's why it's really good for embossing, because then you can sprinkle your powder over the top. So I just dropped my stamp, that's what I did. I just inked up my stamp and I just stamped all around this piece of gloss cardstock. So you might, yeah, you can see it. So it's just clear ink on white gloss cardstock. Now, I actually did that last night because it can take a little while to dry. You need at least a couple of hours. I did do this in a class once and we just stamped it at the start of the class and finished it off at the end of the class, and it did work. But the longer you leave it, the better. So I've actually prepared that earlier. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to get a scrap of paper because this is a messy part. It's a very messy part. So we use a sponge, and I actually wash my sponges. I used to have a sponge for each color, but I found that I just kept misplacing them and I couldn't find them when I needed them. So now what I do is when I use my sponge, I then wash it. I just hand wash mine, but you can wash them in the washing machine and that will get rid of any extra ink out of them. So it doesn't really matter what color it is because it's actually clean, even though it looks pink. So then I'm just inking up my sponge, and I'm using Berry Burst for this. And then I'm working in a circular motion, and you've got to work reasonably quickly because otherwise you're going to get lines. So just go round and around in circles, re-inking my sponge as I go. And I'm sort of just working in sections to make sure that I guess buff out those extra lines. So round and round we go. Now if you want it darker, just keep going over it. And just keep going around and around, making sure that you're buffing out any of those lines so you don't have any harsh circle lines. Don't worry too much about the middle because we're going to be covering it up. You can see on the original card, the middle, you don't see the middle at all. So make sure you've got a scrap of paper underneath you so you don't get ink everywhere, and you are going to get a little bit on your fingers. And that's okay with me, but if you have to be a hand model the next day, you might want to wear gloves. Now be aware of your fingerprints. Try and hold on to the corner of the paper because your fingerprints will show up. And just keep going until you're happy. I'm pretty happy there. And see how the Versamark ink, it resists the ink, the Berry Burst ink, as I sponge it over. So then you get these beautiful flowers. And you can see, like that one, I probably didn't stamp it very well last night at 11 o'clock when I was crafting. I always craft at night because my kids are asleep. It's the only quiet time I get. I shouldn't stay up that late because then I was up all night with my daughter, but I don't know, as a mother you just need some quiet time. Okay, so then we just get rid of this. That part, the messy part is done. So looking back at the card, this is the original, and I mounted it on a piece of Berry Burst ink. Cardstock. And it looks like that I've cut it at the wrong size. Let me grab my trimmer and I'll trim it up. Okay. I thought I was all organised, but apparently I trimmed it as the same size as the cardstock. So I'll just get my trimmer and just take a few seconds to bring it down. So I'm just taking an extra 2 mil off it, and that should be enough. Oops, I think I took 4. I don't know what I'm doing, to be honest. I do. It's just the joys of being on live Facebook. Nothing ever goes right. All right, that looks a bit better. So I'm mounting it, as I was saying, I'm mounting it onto a piece of Berry Burst cardstock. And for all the measurements, you can jump on over to my blog. It'll go live later today. And you'll get all the measurements. I'm just gonna, there's a fingerprint there. Just gonna get rid of that with the sponge. And then what we have is the centerpiece. Now I'm gonna stamp the flower first. And yes, this is a stamp set. So I used this image here. Just mount that onto a block. So you're just pushing down for a few seconds to mount your rubber stamp there. Make sure it doesn't fall off on you. And I use Night of Navy ink for this one. So this is shimmery white cardstock. I didn't use shimmery white on the original card, but with this one I have. And I'll explain why in a second. So I'll just center that, making it a little bit higher towards the top of the piece of card. And then while we're going, might as well stamp the sentiment. So the sentiment is this, here, here's to the best day ever. And I didn't bring my little, you should use a little block, but I'll just use this big one. So I'm just putting this on the, I'm just going to stamp it off because I got ink everywhere. I've just re-inked this Night of Navy ink pattern. It's very, very juicy. So I'm just stamping that in the corner. because I'm actually going to punch it out using this 1-inch circle punch. Okay. So that goes there. Now what I did with this one is I coloured it in with the Stampin' Blends in Night and Navy. What I'm going to try in this one, maybe a bit dangerous, is I'm going to try using the Aqua Painter. And I'll explain why. So I'm using the Aqua Painter because I want a bit more of a watercolour look. The Stampin' Blends sort of give it a bit more of a, I don't know, I guess a texture look. And I don't really want that. I wanted more of a watercolour look. So I'm going to attempt on live Facebook to get it right. If not, that's why there's two sides to a piece of card, because you can just turn it over. So I only want the top part. So I've squeezed my ink pad together, which gives me a bit of colour. And I'm just going to pick up a little bit of colour. I'm just going to attempt to dot it on. I've got way too much water to be dotting. I'll do a few more and then I'll bring it up to the camera and show you. Now, the Night and Navy is a water-based ink. So what happens is it will run with the, sorry for the crashing, it's just me. I'm going to try a blender pen. It will blend in because it's water-based. It will smudge with the water that I'm using for the watercolouring. And that's sort of what I want. So I actually just changed pens. So this is a blender pen, and this has a blending solution rather than water in it. And I just found, I've been, as you can see in the top here, I've been doing some extensive watercolouring, and my blender pen was just a bit wet. Had a lot of water on it, so I'm just swapped over. I'm just dotting over these darker ones just to add a bit of colour. Love watercolouring, it's very therapeutic for me. So there you go, that's sort of what it looks like, opposed to this one. So they're the two side by side. I think I like the pink one better, personally. Everyone has a different opinion. Alright, clean off that blender pen by scribbling on a piece of paper. Now, the main part of this card that I'm changing is the ribbon. So I've got this blue Night and Navy, it's called seam binding, crinkle seam binding ribbon. And the way I created this bow is I just went backwards and forwards on my fingers, round and around. And I used 4 fingers. I spread them apart a bit more. And then I bunched them together and put a clip on it. I think they call these library clips in the catalogue, I think. Is that not the easiest bow you've ever tied? I know some girls really struggle with bows. So that, you're not even tying it. You're just using the clip to hold it all together. Okay. So that is that. And then we're just going to mount this onto a backing of Berry Burst. As you know, could tell, I love dimensionals. And I love popping things up. So this piece is then going to be popped up. So we're going to use this bit of Night of Navy crinkle ribbon. And I'm going to use that instead of this scallop square. I just think it'll really finish the card off nicely. Change my mind. I'm not very good at sticking to the plan. Then we'll so I'll put a piece of tear and tape onto the back there, and then another piece. How's this gonna go? Just double checking myself. This side. I'll just cut that off. And I always cut off more than I think I need. Also, or you could leave it attached to the what's the word of it? I don't even know what the word is. Bolt is what I'm thinking. Sorry, my mummy brain kicked in and I couldn't remember what it was called. Joys of having a baby. I don't believe that mummy brain wears off until, I don't know, my son's 2 years old and I think I still have baby brain from him. All right, so you want the tape to be on the upside, sorry, you couldn't see me. The tape to be on the top side. I was just wrestling with this tape, don't worry, you didn't miss very much. And then I like to look at the front. Oh, I've still got it on the wrong side. What am I doing? There we go. Now we're right. And I like to, so see that? Both sides of the tape are on the top side. And I like to stick it down, and then, I showed you this last week, and then take it back on top of itself. Like that. And see their end result. Play nice, ribbon. Play nice. I don't know why this sort of thing never works when you're teaching it. I could do it till the cows came home, but then as soon as someone's watching me, it doesn't work. And then I'm just going to snip off that extra bit and just put an extra little bit of tape here to stick that last piece down. There. See that? Okay, so now that that is done, we'll bring in the card base and we'll put it all together. So I'm going to stick this piece down to the white base. Then I'm going to pop this piece up on dimensionals. So I'm going to put dimensionals over the top of this. See how the double-sided tape is still on the back of that ribbon? And that's to stop it. Sticking. Sorry, I went a bit overboard there, but I was talking, got a bit carried away. So then I'm going to touch the back of the double-sided tape with my finger and take the tackiness out of it because I don't want it to stick down on the paper. I want the dimensionals to pop it up. So I'll just get rid of all that. And you just put your finger over it and that gets rid of the tackiness. And then just take the back of these dimensionals off. I'm a bit excited that my daughter stayed asleep. I literally put her down just before I went live. She was nearly asleep anyway. Thankfully, gives me a bit of time to myself. Oh, I lost my nail yesterday, look. I usually have really long nails. And it's not, my fingers aren't working without it. Okay, now we're right. So then I'm going to position that into the middle. The bow goes on the outside here. And I just pull it apart a bit to fromp it up. And then this is the sentiment. So half the sentiment is on the popped up piece, and the other half, and I usually have mini dimensionals, but they're over on my desk, so I'll just improvise and use the side. So the reason being, I think that's too big. Let me just chop it down. Half is on and half is off. So you want double-sided tape on the side that is on the card and a dimensional under the other end, because otherwise it'll sort of go a bit saggy. Okay. And that's that. And then to finish it off, I've got these glitter enamel dots. And as you can see, I love the pink ones. So I'm just going to get this here on my paper piercer. Stick one down there. I think I lost the dot on, oh no, it's still sticky. Get a bit darker one. Now this is the hardest bit, being sporadic, being random. I'm not really very good at being random. Where should I put it? I think it needs to be on this side, but there's lots happening over there. Let me move this one. Oh no, it's staying there, good. All right, you can stay there. There you go. Done. So it's a little bit different. I changed this part because, I don't know, that part was annoying me a bit. I couldn't figure it out at the time, but I really like that ruched ribbon down the side. I think it adds extra texture and dimension. And those little glitter enamel dots are really cute. And see the gloss cardstock? It just adds that extra element of texture, which I love. So I was playing around with this technique and I made this little card as well, using the same stamp set. And this also features the Love What You Do stamp set, this It's a Beautiful Day sentiment. Yeah. And there you go. So to get all the measurements for these cards, just jump on over to my blog. It'll be up very soon. And I hope you enjoyed my Facebook Live. Thanks for joining me. And if you've got any comments about anything, just leave me a little message. If you would like to join my classes, send me an email or send me a personal message on Facebook. And I would love to have you come and make some cards with me. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Bye.